What's up guys, Bionic here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're talking about the Spider 24 with a 100% free-to-play team in a relatively fast time by free-to-play standards. So we're going to look at the run itself, we're going to go over the champions, the Masteries, and more importantly the AI preset to get it to work. So all that said, let's go. Since today is Friday, you know what that means. I will be streaming on Twitch at 7:30 Eastern time, where we will be doing our usual giveaway. It is most likely going to be the 540 gems. You can show up to participate, or you can simply show up to build up your loyalty points for the next giveaway. We should have some pretty interesting accounts lined up for the next 2 weeks, so it's a great time to load up on those loyalty points. So again, 7:30 Eastern time on Twitch tonight. So today we're going to start with the AI preset. Probably the most important thing to know about this build is that you can end up killing the spiderlings way too fast, and if you do that, then you're going to end up having to cycle through resummoning them and then reapplying the HP burn. So ideally you want everything to happen within the first set of spiderlings. All right, so for Akoth the Seared, our free-to-play champion from the Doom Tower, he's our AoE HP burn champ. You also do not want to do this skill because you do not want to kill, like I said, those spiderlings. As for Armiger, I played around with doing his A3, not doing his A3, opening up with the A1, not opening up with the A1, and I came to the conclusion that it is better to use Vizix's AoE decrease speed than it is to use this one, because you're actually going to power up your other champions with the increased crit rate and increased crit damage. Therefore, your Akoth is going to hit harder and most likely kill the spiderlings. All right, so we get Vizix to open up with her AoE decrease speed, and then we make sure she only does her A1 for determiner control. Okay, for Armiger, I also made him a little bit slower than Vizix. My Armiger is typically faster than the Vizix. The reason for this is because you need those two last spiderlings to summon before you go into the AoE stun. That is going to guarantee, hopefully, a stun on all of them, and then it's going to reduce the amount of animations. All right, so far I found this to be the best setup in terms of AI preset. For the two Armigers, they are untouched, right? They also need to be relatively fast, but we'll go over the gear after. So overall, this is it. This is the run that gave me the fastest time. Again, if you feel you're not fast enough though, maybe you're not strong enough yet, you can probably work with the increased speed and the decreased speed, right? So perhaps you would need even less speed on your champions to get this to work. So my best run is 65 seconds, although I would say on average, depending on your gear, probably closer to about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Even this team can be close to 1 minute and 30 seconds if you don't have enough relentless procs, right? But when everything lines up, you do end up getting this really fast run, which is what we'll see in this one right here. Okay, so the first set of spiderlings summon, then the next two, then we do our first skill with Vizix, the final two spiderlings spawn. We did get a relentless proc right there. Then we have our AoE stun. We did not get all of them. There's one in the top left corner that I believe did not get stunned. A little bit of a problem because my Armigers are not exactly super strong. They can't take a lot of hits, and they're the first ones to go. I can afford to lose one of the Armigers, maybe past 50% HP, but it's still a little bit of a gamble. I would prefer to not lose any of them and obviously hope for a good amount of relentless procs. Of course, if you bring in some cold hearts in here, it's going to be a lot faster. They don't run up to the boss. Their skill is a 100% turn meter reduction. Even with the 50% turn meter less, it's still better, right? My best team is with two cold hearts, but instead I wanted to create this free-to-play team here for you guys to show to you that it's possible with relatively accessible champions. I get that Armiger and Akoth come from the Doom Tower, but over time you're guaranteed to have them, so hopefully again this will give you a model. You see right there, we're so close to getting the boss to die. Like one or two more spiderlings could have taken a turn. I'm pretty sure we could have reached a 60-second run, but again, it might need a little bit more optimization where my champions need to deal even less damage, because I do still kill some of those spiderlings. So my main team can do it a lot faster, obviously 4 times as fast to be more precise, but getting those two cold hearts and that renegade is not exactly something that is easy for everybody. On the flip side though, this team, even though it is free to play, is relatively hard to achieve as well, because it takes some time to get the Akoth and the Armiger, but also because, for example, with Physics, I did book the A1, right? I fully booked her, in fact, but I think the A1 is what we're really after here. In fact, maybe even the A2, where you would want to have the 100% chance of placing the decreased speed, right? But again, maybe you can work with your Archmage instead with the increased speed, so it might be a solution for you. We do have a Relentless set on this Physics, and as for the total stats, 232 speed, a lot of defense. That's because of how I use her in the crypts. Not needed, of course. That means we're going to hit really hard as well. So again, you do want to minimize how much damage you deal to the enemies, right? You want to have enough accuracy for this to work. I'd say above 230 and you are all set. As for the masteries, we did go with War Master now. I used to have defense and support, but I wanted that little bit of extra damage with the War Master procs to ensure I'm able to kill the Spider Queen within the first turn of most of the Spiderlings. As for Akoth the Seared, nothing has changed on his gear. It's all about the right amount of speed and the right amount of accuracy. Decent amount of defense, although again, you don't want to have too much so you don't hit too hard. And I do have him in a stun set. I believe that this guy with the 2 AoEs for any other applications you might have with him, for example, the Crypts, I think he's well worth having that stun set, right? So it does help Archmage a little bit to apply the AoE stuns and hopefully fully control the Spiderlings. As for the masteries, we have this right here. Don't blindly copy this, but I would suggest that you definitely go for Evil Eye. Then we have our Archmage, same masteries, they have not changed. I continue to use Archmage the exact same way I typically do, which is for the hard Doom Tower. I literally use him for all the floors. I love the amount of buffs and the amount of control he brings to the table, so he's a great partner to Seer at the same time. The only thing we did was to swap the banner for the time being to give him about 10 or 19 speed less, if I recall correctly. You also don't want this guy to hit too hard, so like don't go for War Master and things of the sort. Then let's do our 2 Armigers. I did max out both of them. Maybe it's not needed. If you guys want to test that, go for it, but for the time being I got it to work with this exact gear and stats. So we do have Relentless, total stats are here, right amount of accuracy, and then of course more defense would be great, but I do believe we're pretty close to topping out at the 10% max HP damage that we can deal on the boss anyway. Maybe I can squeeze out a little bit more. So we did remove Help Smasher, right? We decided to go with War Master instead. Same concept, Evil Eye, and then the second one here, the masteries are pretty much the same. The skills are obviously also done on both of them, and also a Relentless set on this one. Slightly lower on the crit damage. Accuracy is just fine. The speed is relatively fine, again, considering you have decreased speed and increased speed to work with. At this point, though, you're probably wondering, why didn't you try 3 Armigers? I think it could work. Maybe the speed requirements would be higher, but because I'm not working with the increased speed buff from Archmage and instead the decreased speed from Physics, we could drop that. We could add the increased speed. Even though the Akoth is going to be a little bit stronger, we're not going to have that initial AoE from Physics. Therefore, maybe we can get the Spiderlings to survive and let the 3 Armigers do the job, right? So it's all about getting the stuns and the HP burns on all the Spiderlings, and then getting the Armigers to control the turn meter and doing the enemy max HP skill. And if you think about it, the Armiger in this case is literally as good as Physics, right? The problem is that if the Spider Queen ends up taking a turn, you're probably not going to recover if you don't have a Physics. She's a little bit tougher. She can survive that hit, and then between Akoth, Archmage, and Physics, you might be lucky enough to apply an AoE stun again, and then the AoE HP burn and control the turn meter a little bit more. But then again, it might work, right? If you guys want to perfect the Armigers for this to work, you want to really max out 3 of them, go for it. But for now, I'm just going to call this build the 65-second free-to-play team for Spider 24. Hopefully, this will give you a working model. Do let me know what you think in the comments section below. And of course, I will see you guys in the next video.